Well, hello there, everyone that's listening and watching. This is John from downtown Tyler, Texas. I'm across, actually, this place that we film from and do the podcast from is across the street from the old train depot here in Tyler, Texas. So it's pretty cool. This is an old building that's been renovated. Well, that said, let's move on. Today, this Thursday, it's a good day. Beautiful outside. I'm actually playing in a disc golf tournament this weekend, so that's why I'm filming today instead of tomorrow as usual. Today's topic, well, how are y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing fine, but we'll get into that in a minute. Hope you're having a good day, good week. Things are well, in spite of things that may be going on, particularly in your life. All right, today, let's do this. I think I want to make a projection, a prophecy. I think today's interaction with you will bring a smile to a deeper part of who you are. Let's hope so. I believe it will. You remember the story I told you about the tiger a 3 weeks ago that was asleep in Thailand? Big tiger, and I just felt really sad when I was petting him. Yes. And I felt this immense sadness, so I asked them to take me out. I couldn't go to the other part of the reserve of the refuge, of the tiger refuge. Just really affected me. That's kind of what we're going to be talking about today, only we're going to begin with a different situation, kind of vastly different from that. This situation, that was in Thailand. Today, we're going to begin with the story. It's not going to be a long story, but it's going to be an eventful one. The story took place a good while back, a number of years, when I was in the western part of Anatolia, which you could say is Turkey. I was visiting one of the 7 churches mentioned in the book of Revelation. And it's that last one that's mentioned. It's the ancient city of Laodicea. And I was walking through the ruins, and a lot of those ruins hadn't really been dug up at that point. And I kept walking out across a field, into another field. I like to do that. I like to just really walk. And it was a pretty day, I remember that, and just walking around. So I was quite a bit of distance from where we had parked. I was by myself. So I was way out in this field. I noticed out in the distance that there was, a flock of sheep, maybe a quarter to a half a mile away. Not half a mile is too far. At least a quarter of a mile, maybe a little bit further than that. Okay? And they were out there, so I just noticed that they were out there and looked around this hilly, this farmer's area where you could see it had been plowed, over the years. Kind of just walking around, looking, and just kind of wandering, like I do. I heard a noise like a brrr, brrr. So I looked up towards the sheep, the flock, and coming at me at 97.5 miles per hour was what is called a Turkish kanga. It's a type of huge shepherd dog. And this shepherd dog was flying at me, just, and I thought, oh no, he's coming, full speed. And he's coming at me. I thought, this is not good. This is not good. We're talking about 130 to 140 pounds here of raw power. Look it up on the internet. Turkish kanga, K-A-N-G-A, shepherd dog. Really a popular dog in Turkey, and that they come from that part of the world. So, but very territorial, and very strong, very just tough, tough as nails. So I thought, oh no. So he was coming so fast, he was going to be there within 15 seconds. And so I thought, oh no. So I looked around and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? He's coming at me. So I noticed that there was a yelling far behind him, and the shepherd had started to run after the dog. He was far back there. So I thought, oh no. So the dog started to get within 100 yards, and I looked around, and there was a stone on the ground. I picked up the stone. I said, I found another stone, and I thought, well, I don't know what else to do. Certainly I'm not going to run with him behind me. It was wide open, no cover anywhere. So he made it up to me. He stopped about 10 yards out, maybe 7 yards out, and 15, 18 feet, I don't know, something like that. And he stopped, and just, and his jaws were quivering, and he was like that, and his eyes had gone to something out of Stephen King novel. And he was like, I was like, oh. The shepherd was yelling, just running, still a good ways out. So the dog began to quickly circle me. So I just turned with him thinking, what am I going to do? If he comes at me, I'm like, do I throw? He must have noticed the rocks in my hand. Do I throw at him? Do I keep it and try to pound his head? But that's not going to stop him. So I was like, oh Lord, oh Lord. Yeah, that's what you do in situations. So we went in a full circle. And as he circled me, he got closer and closer. And this was done pretty quickly. This was done in a matter of 10, 15 seconds. He just kind of started to circle, and I just turned with him. And he was getting closer. And he was within 10 feet. Then he was in 7 or 8 feet. And he's like that, and he's like that. The shepherd had gotten so close that he was screaming. I saw him running up. He had a staff in his hand, a long wooden staff. And he was like, oh! He's like yelling. He was desperate. So I knew that he wasn't yelling for any other reason than saying, this is not a good situation for this young man over there, not knowing who I was, obviously. So he got close enough, got close enough, got close enough. The dog was heard him and must have hesitated the dog from making that jugular leap. As my life flashed before my eyes. Maybe I'm not trying to be too dramatic about this. Now can be comical about it at the moment. Here's what happened. The dog was there, no exaggeration. I never exaggerate my stories. Always, I've said that before, let me say it again. Never do that, ever. Okay? Dog was really close. I was leaning, going, okay, I got to swing when he comes at me and maybe catch him. The shepherd yelled, finally made it, came running up. I'm here, 8 feet away is the dog, and he comes in and he swings his staff across the back of the dog. He's coming, he just swings it, whack, and he comes up and backs into me, and I'm like behind him, behind the shepherd, and he's yelling at the dog, going, and the dog is not giving up. He's like, still looking at me. Already had it in his head. What a fine steak that I looked like, I'm sure. And the shepherd just kept yelling, hey, hey, swinging, swinging, backing me up, backing me up, backing me up, backing me up, backing me up. The dog he kept swinging, and finally he just stood there, just panting, the shepherd, panting, panting. Felt behind him, felt me. He had the staff. He walked forward, slowly, put up the staff, grabbed the dog by the collar, like this, and held him. And said, I'm very sorry, in Turkish. Very, very sorry. He goes, go. He goes, so I just said, teşekkür ederim, thank you, and I left. Well, he held the dog. Made it back to the safe area. And I've looked back at that. Well, there's a story for you, isn't it? I've looked back at that, and I can just say, wow. Wow. Let me focus on one last part of that story, and then we'll move on to what hopefully will make you smile. I was being attacked. It wasn't an evil attack. It was a dog that the training or what, I don't know what's going on, but it was the dog in his mind was protecting his territory. I was identified as someone that needed, as a predator, as a threat. And so I'm not saying the dog in any way was evil or bad. I am saying, though, that that dog was after my hide. And I was, in my mind, innocent of any wrongdoing. I was just taking a walk. And the dog came from a good distance away to attack me. I wasn't near the sheep at all. And so I just want to say that when I was attacked in Laodicea, Turkey, that city there, in ancient times, it was written about as being a lukewarm place because of the fountains there, and they use that analogy in the book of Revelation. That I was in Laodicea, attacked by a angry, vicious, for blood, Kanga dog, that at the last moment, a very good shepherd stood between me and that threat and protected me and defended me. Makes me smile. And that's just the truth. I mean, you can't get a better story than that, can you? Without me being taken to the hospital. Yeah. Can't get a better story than that. I bring that up because we're going to move on from that story and use it as a diving board into another story. Okay? You've heard of Clive Staples Lewis, better known as C.S. Lewis. Yes, you have. And he's written a whole lot of books, but one of my obviously favorite, and they've made movies and all of that, is the Chronicle of Narnia series. The first book is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. In that book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, there is a situation that develops where I'm going to take you near the end of the first book of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Let's just do it that way for time's sake. Boy, I'd like to take a little bit longer and kind of draw it out, but let's just do it fairly quickly. The situation is that Aslan, the lion, by the way, Aslan is how you say lion in Turkish. I think maybe that's where C.S. Lewis used the word from. Okay, so Aslan, the lion, is walking off very sadly. And two of the characters of the four main ones, Edmund, Peter, Edmund, Susan, and Lucy. Well, the two girls, Susan and Lucy, follow Aslan out of the camp. And he's walking, and he says, "You can join me, girls, come on." So they join him, and they go out there, but they notice that he's very sad. And he's walking with his head down. So they go out of town. They go out from the encampment. The boys are away fixing to fight the armies that are built up against them. So Aslan goes out of town, goes out from the encampment. The girls follow him. They come to an area, and they see he's very sad. And he says, "I'm glad you're with me, girls, but I have to go now. Don't follow me. Don't be seen. What's going to happen? Do not be seen." And they're like, "What? What are you talking about? What?" And he says, "Goodbye, girls." And he walks away. So they go and they hide behind some bushes. And they notice that sometime, a little bit later, they're watching, and suddenly a character called the White Witch arrives with a 100 of her beings, all kinds of strange creatures, all gibbering and laughing, and first a little scared when they see Aslan. But he'd made a deal with her, and I won't get into all that. I'll just say that he made a deal with her because he was protecting a certain member of the group, of the human group, named Edmund, who had offended the deep magic. So it offended the rule from the beginning of time. So Aslan was saying, instead of Edmund paying for this law that he broke, I'll pay for him. So he gave himself freely over to the White Witch. They grabbed him. They saw that he wasn't going to fight back. So they bound him, and she's laughing. The girls are watching from the bushes. The White Witch is laughing and cackling and saying, I got you now. And they bound him very tightly. She says, shave off his mane. They shaved off his mane, and they were just spitting at him and just laughing again. They dragged him with the cords up onto a giant stone table. And they put him up on the giant stone table. The witch came over, and sure enough, as the girls watched, she laughed and said, I have you now. I know the deep magic. She raised the knife. Aslan did not fight back, and she brought it down, and she killed Aslan. He died. And they laughed and danced and left to go fight with their big army against the two boys left behind that were going out to fight. The girls freaked out. They ran out from behind the bush. Everything was quiet. They crept up the hill, and it was nighttime at this point. And it was a full moon, I believe, if I remember correctly. And they saw that Aslan was bloody and dead, still bound. And they cried and they cried and they cried and they cried. They cried themselves out. I don't know if you've ever cried yourself out. I imagine most everybody has that is of a decent age, maybe more than once. And you're just left in this sort of stupor with nothing there. You just cried out. And the girls cried themselves out. And they sat there and they petted him and they just said, he's dead. What are we going to do now? All is lost. They noticed that some mice came and started gnawing at the cords that were bound Aslan. And they said, oh, wow. Animals know something. Sometimes humans don't. And vice versa. But animals don't take them for granted. So they gnawed that. The girls left and wandered a little bit away from the stone table. Dawn had come and passed. It was getting near morning. And near, light, lots of light, near the sunrise. Let's put it that. It was getting right at the time of sunrise. And they heard suddenly a thunderclap. The sound as if a thunderclap. Like a bang, crash, bang! It scared I was going to say crap. It scared them. They jumped a mile high. It frightened them. They go, what was that? They turned. They looked. The sun had just come up. And they looked and they saw the stone table on top of the hill where Aslan was supposed to be. And it was broken. So the sound they heard was the stone table cracked in half, broken asunder, split, boom. The center portion was broken down in the middle, broken in half. We'll get into the symbolism another time. We'd love to do that. Stone table, stone tablets. Anyway, so that, they were like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? So they slowly made it back up the hill. And what happens? They hear a voice going, hey, children. Oh, children. And they recognize the voice. And out from the hill behind the stone table walked Aslan. Lucy said, oh, no, 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 no. And she at first thought, what? There's a ghost. And she's like, no. And Aslan walks up to her, and what does he do? Puts his tongue out, and he licks her and blows his breath on her. And she's like, whoa! No ghost could do that. He goes, no, it's me. It's me. It's me. Here's the smile part. Well, that's very smile worthy. Of course, you understand the symbolism there. And so this alive lion now, after having been dead, and it's not a ghost, licks Lucy. And the girls are like, Aslan, Aslan, Aslan. And they dance, and they're like, ah, high-fiving each other, doing the, like, Snoopy does in any way. They're just happy. As we get to the next, let's say the last 5-7 minutes of this always makes me smile. This next part just just makes me laugh, makes me smile. I hope it does for you too. C.S. Lewis now puts into the narrative this paragraph. So what you have the White Witch out with her innumerable, her great army that's like 4 times as big as Peter and Peter and Edmund's, as they're leading Aslan's army out to meet him. And they're out there fixing to fight. And I think, in fact, the fighting has already begun because later we see that it's already begun. Doesn't look good. So Susan and Lucy are going, okay, Aslan, you're alive. Oh, thank Narnia, thank the stars, if this is Narnia, magical things can happen in Narnia. What happens? Does Aslan take off and say, let's go kick some witch hiney? No. I'm going to read you this paragraph. And if you've never thought about it before, think about it now. I'm going to read you reporting live from Narnia. It's volatile, it's sad, like some stuff going on right here in the United States. It's going on right here, kind of like freaky, sad times. Everybody's like, no, you're biting your fingernails, some of you. You're not at peace. Here's a situation where it looks, what's going on? Looking bad for the home team. And you think that Aslan would just run off and take care of business. And he doesn't. He does not. I'm going to read to you this paragraph. Stay with it. You're going to love it. "Oh, children," said the lion, "I feel my strength coming back to me. Oh, children, catch me if you can." Now, you be right there filming this in your mind like you were watching this situation develop and evolve. Now, you're watching a movie. See it in your mind. Here's your imagination. "Catch me if you can," says Aslan. He stood for a second, his eyes very bright, his limbs quivering, lashing himself with his tail. Then he made a leap high over their heads and landed on the other side of the table. Laughing, though she didn't know why, Lucy scrambled over to reach him. Aslan leaped again. A mad chase began. Round and round the hilltop he led them, now hopelessly out of their reach, now letting them almost catch his tail, now diving between them, now tossing them in the air with his huge and beautifully velveted paws, and catching them again, and now stopping unexpectedly, so that all three of them rolled over together in a happy, laughing heap of fur and arms and legs. Are you giggling with the girls? Are you laughing with Aslan? It was such a romp as no one has ever had except in Narnia. And whether it was more like playing with a thunderstorm or playing with a kitten, Lucy could never make up her mind. And the funny thing was that when all three finally lay together, panting in the sun, the girls no longer felt in the least tired or hungry or thirsty. In the midst of all the stuff going on in your life, in the midst of everything that surrounds you, in the midst of Mad Dog and Englishman, that's just a reference to a rock and roll thing, in the midst of a mad dog that's viciously circling around like a group of people circling around you, wanting some flesh, wanting some blood, at least wanting something from you that you're not willing to give, you think. Remember that like a good shepherd, like an awakened Aslan, alive and well, there is always that one that will stand between you and whatever threat is there. And that one, the smile, the smile, that one, in the midst of all of this, wants to play with you. C.S. Lewis got it. In the midst of all this, the girls brokenheartedly saw him alive, and he took time to saying, I can take care of whatever. Oh, we need to leave right now. We need to go take care of something. Oh, is that what you feel like? Oh, we need to do something about this. We need to do something about, we got to take care. We need to do something about this. Look at this situation out there in the street. Sir, what's going on? What's going on with our country? What's going on with my life? Stop. Take some time. Play with the lion. He's playing with you. You can go right there in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, and you can roll and tumble and have a romper room right down the side of the hill as you're sitting in that chair at home, as you're lying awake at night. For that's the truth. He always has time to play with you. He created us this way, to be able to take time to play. Stone table broken. Stone table representing stone tablets, representing a religious spirit, so to speak. The do's and don'ts, and this is how you do things, and this is how you encircle yourself, and this is how you behave. And that way you're okay. He says, no, let's play a while, kids. There's that kind of freedom when you have the lion breathing down your neck, literally, with that good, warm, sweet breath. Isn't that just cool? Aren't you glad C.S. Lewis had that story for you? Take time to play in your heart with your Creator. Take time to play in your heart with your Creator. He does. He's free to do so since the beginning. Just think how things will be made right. Hope that brings a smile to your face. Good shepherd, the shepherd will stand always between you and the threat. Cease your worrying. Take a breath. What do you think? Well, I think I'm done. Not finished, but I'm done for today. You know, I'd rather be speaking to you face to face than this, but this is all right. This is something that's good. Signing off, live from Narnia. Adios. God bless. Bye. Love you.